Radio 418.
What's up, beautiful people? This is John Montagna, and you're listening to Radio 418. Thank you so much for checking in on the podcast again. This is my show where I talk to my fellow musicians about the life in music. And my guest today is Mystina, singer, songwriter, emerging artist, and bandmate of mine. Mystina and I work together in a band that does what we call the private events, the club dates, general business is what they call them in Boston, casuals in Vegas, private events, the weddings, the private parties, that kind of stuff. And many musicians do those gigs to, as George W. Bush would say, put food on their families. And Mystina and I work in an amazing band together, great bunch of guys and girls. We work very hard. We get in, we get out, we do the job. We have a lot of fun. And Mystina is one of our frontline singers, and she's awesome. She does a great job every time. And we were hanging out on one of the gigs, and she goes, I want to be on your podcast. I said, yeah, let's do it. We had a nice chat the other night about her musical trajectory and future plans, stuff we both like, and I'm going to get to that conversation in just a minute. First, a little bit of business up front. If you are in the New York State area, Saturday, September 2nd, Clapton is Godfrey. Eric Clapton tribute featuring the Godfrey Townsend Band will be appearing at Daryl's House in Pawling, New York on Saturday, September 2nd at 8 p.m. This is the Godfrey Townsend Band, Godfrey Townsend on guitar, Steve Murphy on drums, Manny Focarazzo on keys, and your boy on bass. These are the guys that I have been traveling all over the world and elsewhere, since 2003, since the Alan Parsons Live Project days. These are the guys I do the Happy Together tours with. These are my boys, man. And we're hitting it upstate at Daryl's House, which, of course, is the live music venue founded by Daryl Hall of Hall & Oates. They do some great stuff up there. We're really psyched about this show. One more time for the world. Saturday, September 2nd, 8 p.m. Clapton is Godfrey at Daryl's House, 130 Route 22 in Pawling, New York. Pawling, New York. You go to darylshouseclub.com for tickets for that one. DARYLS houseclub.com. And scroll down a little bit, and there's a picture of Godfrey, and you click on that, and that takes you to the page where you can get the tickets for Clapton is Godfrey at Daryl's House on Saturday, September 2nd, 8 p.m. 5 p.m. doors. That's going to be a great show. Looking forward to doing that. What else should I tell you about? I'm doing a gig tonight. If you're hearing this before 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. on Sunday, July 30th, I'm going to be at Arturo's tonight doing the jazz type thing in there with Eldad Zvaloon at the piano, Steely Dan, Stevie Wonder, Standards, Brick Oven Pizza. What else is there in life, right? Doing that gig tonight. Had a gig last night, had the gig the night before. So just chilling this afternoon, doing this podcast for you. That's the bees and knees. I want to get off on a little rant here for a second, and we'll get to my conversation with Mystina. But I have to get something off my chest here. How are you listening to this podcast? Are you listening on your computer? Are you listening on a tablet? Are you listening on a phone? Did you sync your iPod to the computer and you're listening on the iPod? Are you streaming it? Did you download it? And if you did download it, where is the audio file going to live if you want to listen to it again? Are you going to burn it onto a CD? That sounds ridiculous, but I've done that. I drive a car it's a 2004, so there's no auxiliary input. So if I want to hear a podcast in the car, I need to burn it onto a CD. And I'm a proud physical media snob, so that doesn't bother me. And that's the rant that I wanted to kind of go on here. I needed to address this topic, the physical media issue, because a friend of mine, all right, a fellow bassist, posted something on Facebook recently about how much trouble he's having with Apple and iTunes and syncing his computer to his phone and updating the system, blah, blah, blah. And the point is, right now, his music is missing. He can't get to it. These are files that he bought, that he paid for and downloaded them legitimately, but because of some kind of like Apple iTunes bullshit. And by the way, there's going to be profanity in this, so I apologize. You might want to, ask the children to leave the room or something. But so his stuff is in the cloud somewhere, and he can't get to it. And nobody at Apple is giving him a straight answer. I mean, good luck trying to get an answer from Apple. That's trying to it's like trying to talk to Hal from 2001, right? So when people make fun of me for being a physical media snob, I tell them stories like that one, right? And then I go to my shelf and I take out my box of 45s. And I show them my disc, my 45 RPM disc of Sweet Dreams by the Eurythmics. Bonus points for whoever can tell me what the B-side of that single was. That's right, I could give you a mirror. Anyway, I bought that single at Woolworth's on Ralph Avenue in Canarsie in the summer of 1983 when we were living there. Okay, probably cost me $1. That's in 2017 money. That is it's $2.45 today. Okay, 34 years later, I know exactly where that disc is, and I can access those two songs anytime I want. It has been compatible with every turntable that I've ever owned for 34 years, and it will be compatible with any turntable that I might own in the future. I can bring it to anyone's house with a turntable and play it on their system, no problem. Okay? Same for my copy of this year's model, Elvis Costello and the Attractions. Okay? I got that album at Tower Records on 66th and Broadway as a spontaneous birthday gift in 1988. It was my 16th birthday, sophomore year. I was hanging out with a girl, and she found out it was my birthday, and she insisted on getting me a birthday present. I want to get you something. So we went to Tower, and I said this, and I took it out, and she got it for me. Okay. I eventually got that album on CD, and I can access that. Both of them. Anytime. Anywhere. Same with the first 3 Wendy and Lisa albums. Every Smithereens album. All 3 of my copies of The Who live at Leeds. I have it on CD, and I have 2 vinyl copies, one from America and one from England. All the Mingus stuff, all my Monkees stuff, all of it. It's right here in my home. My home, Frank, where my wife sleeps. Godfather 2, anyone? All right, anyway. Right here, where my hands can actually touch them. And I can pretty much remember where and when I got a lot of this stuff. It's loaded with memories, wonderful memories that files in the cloud or wherever they are just don't have. I don't care who you are or what you say, okay? But John, the new computers don't have disk drives. I know, and I don't care. And this is the point that I really wanted to make in this rant. Physical media, it's not about just using old stuff for its own sake. It's about not using the computer from music. And this is the point that I really wanted to make, okay? And I'm going to sound like a middle-aged man, but guess what? That's what I am. Okay? The computer is already too involved in our lives. All right? We're already using it for email, to do research, to read the news, to get driving directions, to look at videos, to watch our TV shows, for Christ's sake, social media, okay? The computer has infiltrated practically every aspect of our lives to the point where most of us can barely survive if we're not, like, hooked in to some kind of a device, okay? And I know I'm not saying anything new, but it's unhealthy. And it's out of balance, okay? Music, to me, has always been my joy. It's always been the place where I escape the humdrum nonsense of everyday life. All right, when I was a kid and obsessed with listening to music, the music and my music stuff was always separate from everything else. Okay, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Okay, most of us are old enough to remember the Trapper Keeper, right? It was a thing that was made by the Mead Company. You get it with your school supplies, right? It was like a loose leaf binder. Like, instead of it just having a binder like a notebook, the Trapper Keeper was like a giant thing. It was like a loose leaf binder thing with the 3 rings, but it also held like folders. Like, you got folders with the 3 holes in them. And it had all these extra pockets, and you could put your pencil case in it. All of your stuff for school, right? In one gigantic thing that closed and like had like a Velcro flap that sealed it shut. Okay. Today's MacBooks and iPads are like the Trapper Keepers of today. Right? What do you have on your MacBook? You have all your documents, your reports, your photos, all the work that you're doing is on there. Okay. So you got that equation that I'm making between the iPad or the MacBook and the Trapper Keeper? Okay. In 1983, I had Thriller. And we're going to talk about Michael Jackson, by the way. Mystina and I, when we get to that conversation, we have a little Michael Jackson chat. But in any case, I had Thriller on vinyl and on cassette. Okay, that's how much I love that record. I didn't listen to Thriller on my Trapper Keeper. You understand? I listened to Thriller on my stereo, on the record player, or on my Walkman or whatever, okay? The music and the music stuff was separate from everything else that I had, okay? And that system still works for me today. When I listen to music, that is the system that works for me. Never fails me. Okay? I take out a CD, I put it in a CD player, it plays every time. I take out a record, I put it on the turntable, it works every time. I put a CD into the CD player in the car, it plays every time. They never don't work. I can never not get to them. They're always there. Okay? I bought it once, and I own it forever. It's mine. I went to the store. I paid the money. The guy gave me the CD. I said, thank you. The man said, no, thank you. And I left, and I still have it. It's still there. Okay? Downloads, we all know that they're technically licenses, right? Anyone whose iTunes library has mysteriously vanished in the middle of the night will attest to this. Okay? Now, I know well, technically, you just have to, select, remove download, blah, 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 blah. Why is there any confusion about this to begin with? You pay for something, it should be yours. Period. End of discussion. I buy a shirt, I pay the money. I take the shirt home. I put it on. I wear it. Okay, 6 months later, I shouldn't be going to my closet and suddenly the shirt's not there anymore. I go to the hanger and there's a note that there's like an error message on the hanger that says, you need to update your system, okay? I mean, what's next? Am I going to go like start my car one day and get like an error message on the dashboard saying you need to download the new system, blah, 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 blah. Right? You guys with the cloud and the Apple Music, you think you're slick. You're not. You think you're beating the system. You're not. You're making fun of me for having all these CDs in my house. Well, I don't know how you have all this stuff. It's just digital. All my stuff's digital. I got rid of my CDs. The data's in, beautiful people. The streaming services are at best unreliable, flaky, and unnecessarily complicated to use and maintain. And at worst, they're greedy pirates, man. They're charging these ridiculous fees for a service that works occasionally, right? And meanwhile, the artists who make the music that they're selling access to are getting paid in like fractions of cents, right? And these companies are running off with billions of dollars, okay? You buy a CD, especially if you buy a CD directly from the artist, like from their website or from one of their shows. Not only are you supporting that artist directly, but you're getting something that you're going to have forever without having to update a device or sync or do any of that nonsense. Okay? So that's my rant. I don't know what it's going to take for people to realize that it's a ripoff, that the emperor has no clothes here with this stuff. You shouldn't be listening to music on a phone. Same way you shouldn't be texting and driving, you shouldn't be listening to music on your phone. I don't understand. I can't get any of my songs on my phone. You shouldn't be listening to music on your phone. You listen to music on a music listening device. Use your phone as a phone. I'm just hearing the sound of my own voice. I swore I would never become that guy, but here I am. But in any case, seriously, use the phone as the phone. Use the computer as a computer. Listen to music on a music listening device. Just try it and see what happens. And see if it doesn't work better for you. So that's my rant. Rant over. Let's get to Mystina. Friend of mine, workmate, emerging artist. She sent me some of her music. It's great. And she is a fan and a proponent of Latin Freestyle, which is a term that I've heard many times over the years. Really wasn't sure what it meant. So I figured this would be a great opportunity to get to know her better, what she's all about, and learn a little bit about Latin Freestyle and get educated. So she lives in Long Island. We're trying to work it out. I'm in Brooklyn. How are we going to meet up? And it turns out we were both going to be in the city on the same night to see some mutual friends playing at the Groove in the Village. So, you're going? I'm going. So we went and got some coffee and had a chat about her career thus far. And it's just a nice conversation with two workmates who are both here in the city trying to do their thing. So let's get to my talk with Mystina.
Radio 418.
I'm the one you think about. A heartbreaker with hearts gone down. I never thought I'd be the one to be that person in a love song. I never thought I'd find myself on the other side of the coin. I never thought I'd be the one to be that person in a love song. I never thought I'd find myself on the other side of the coin.
Am I calling you Mystina, or am I calling you by the name that I know you from the working gigs?
Well, for now I'm still gonna go with Mystina.
Okay, but we can discuss how we know each other, though. We can discuss
course.
the end of the
Of course.
the grind
Yes.
gigs. Okay, so you grew up in Long Island.
Yes.
Whereabouts?
Copac.
Copac. And where is that?
It's on the South Shore.
It's on the South
Yep.
Shore, like how far east?
It's not that far out east. It's right on
Okay.
the border of Nassau.
Okay. And what kind of place was that to grow up in?
It was cool. Like, it had a mixture of everything. We had different ethnicities. Literally, on my block alone, there was like the Indian family in the back, the Polish family next door.
Oh, wow. Okay.
A Dominican family in the corner.
Oh, so it's like Brooklyn.
Pretty much, yeah. Because you know what? I think a lot of Brooklynites came out and
Okay.
settled there.
It's a similar vibe.
Yeah.
Okay. When did you first start hearing music and paying attention to it? In the neighborhood or?
You know what? Music has always, I think, just been an innate thing with me. I
Okay.
mean, first of all, like, my family's pretty musical. My dad always played the guitar.
Okay. Was he professional?
He wasn't a professional. I mean,
Okay.
he actually used to impersonate Elvis.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But he wasn't a professional. He just went to his friend's house. He was
Okay.
like the man with the guitar,
Ah, okay.
amp,
Okay.
and he would
Oh, so
sing.
he took it seriously.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
But what was his job?
He was a police officer.
Oh, wow. Okay. Dad was a police officer.
Yep.
What did Mom do?
She actually worked for a collection agency.
Wow. Okay.
That's a tough job.
I was gonna say that's not. You spend your day like people yelling at you all the time.
Yeah, but she can do it.
Okay.
She's strong.
Okay. So tough parents.
Yeah,
All right.
basically.
I wanted to ask you about your brothers. I know you told me once that they were like you had an older brother that was like into the club scene.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because I have 3 older brothers, and each
Okay.
of them had their own distinct styles of what they were really into.
Okay.
So it's like my oldest brother was totally about the club dance scene in
Right.
the 80s.
And what year?
stuff.
What years are we talking about here?
The 80s.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's going into the city to like Webster Hall and all that.
Totally.
Okay.
The Roxy, like all these places.
Was he bringing any of that stuff home with him in terms of like did he share that experience with you? Was he playing music around the house? I mean, what
You
was
know,
the...
it was more like that was kind of the big thing in the 80s, that club vibe. I mean, KTU was out.
Right.
They're playing all that freestyle music
Sure.
and that kind of stuff. So, and sometimes he'd bring his glamorous friends over, and I just look up to them. I'm like, wow, they are so,
Right.
they look like the pretty women from TV.
Right. Okay.
You know, that kind of thing. And
Nice.
the guys are so cute, and,
Right.
you know,
Like the lifestyle.
it's the lifestyle.
How long did that last for him? Like, what's he doing now?
He's a stockbroker.
Nice. Okay, good. If you were going to tell me, like, well, he still goes out 5 nights a week.
I
would've
would
been
kind of
concerned.
worry.
Okay. And then your other brothers, are they in the same kind of scene?
No, my middle brother was totally into acts like Pink Floyd,
Huh.
Depeche Mode,
Okay.
kind of progressive, new wave stuff.
All right.
So I got like a mixture of that dark, a little bit of that dark, depressing music.
Okay.
Funny little story about The Wall, the movie
Right.
The Wall.
Okay.
I watched that when I was like 3 years old. And I had a crush on Sir Bob.
Bob Geldof?
Yes.
Oh, really? Okay.
I had a crush on a junkie in the movie.
Sure. Did you know that he was a junkie at the time?
Not
Did
at
that
all.
make
I
sense?
just
Okay.
felt very bad for him
Right.
when I watched the movie. I
Okay.
said, no, nobody can take this movie. It's
Right.
mine.
Interesting. So you're surrounded by all this music and all this imagery and all this stuff.
Right.
When did music hit you as something that you thought you might actually want to do yourself?
I've always known that I wanted to do it,
Ah, all
but I
right.
was always scared.
What
I was
were you-
always scared to like take a chance because I knew the industry was rough.
Why did you know that the industry was rough? Like, what gave that away?
VH1 behind the music.
Okay.
You almost spilled out your coffee.
I see. Well, no, because I think there's like 10 years between us. So, like, by the time VH1 Behind the Music was on, I was already like an adult.
Yeah,
And yet you persisted, as they say.
I persisted. I mean, I worked for TV and radio for 10 years.
Right.
You know, it was a great job, safe.
Okay. When did that start? Well, first, let's back up a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
Besides Sir Bob Geldof as a junkie, who were the artists that you looked up to and you sought to possibly emulate?
Definitely Michael Jackson,
Okay.
without a doubt.
Nice.
I studied his catalog. I studied his performances, his moves,
Really?
the way he interacted and networked with people. I read all about that. I was just like that weird kid who just knew everything about her favorite singer.
Nice. I was a big Thriller fan. See,
Which is
I
my
got that
favorite
album when
album.
it first came out because Paul McCartney's on it.
No, not Say.
Girl Is Mine.
Yeah, The Girl Is Mine.
All I knew was there was a new Michael Jackson album with Paul McCartney on it. So
Right.
I had that album before it became like the beast that ate show business. You know what I mean? And
Basically.
then I remember being at my grandparents' house and seeing him do Billie Jean on the Motown 25 special.
Classic. The whole thing.
He wiped. It's like goodbye. It's over.
It was beautiful.
He did that moonwalk, and even like my dad and everyone else in the room was like, "Whoa!"
Exactly.
It's over.
Exactly.
It's over.
My dad told me the first time that he saw it, and this is a man who's NYPD.
A New York City cop.
He's seen everything, okay?
A New York City cop who impersonates Elvis.
Yes, he's seen everything.
Right.
And he's like, I've never seen that. I thought he was literally floating
Right.
on the floor.
But it was the first time in my lifetime where one artist was everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just one.
I mean, it
song after
dominated
another. Yeah.
the charts for like a year, at least, more than a year.
So that was your jam, as they say.
My jam, as they say, yes.
Okay. Who else?
I was a big fan of Stevie Wonder. I mean, I'm still a big fan.
The good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
The good stuff. I was heavy into performers that really stood out.
Okay.
Even surprisingly, Vanity,
Uh huh.
Denise Matthews, who
Sure.
recently passed away. I liked her style.
Okay.
I liked her demure, and I had no idea what the crazy life that she led.
Right.
But,
Sure.
But her style, I was very influenced by.
Okay.
But I'll tell you, one of the first moments that I was introduced to funk, and it just stuck with me.
Yeah.
I went to my neighbor's house. One of my multicultural neighbors. They
Yeah.
were. I think they were like Jamaican American.
Okay.
And in the basement, I heard this song, and I had no idea who it was at the time. But now that I remember the melody,
Okay.
it was Rick James. They were
Ah.
playing Super Freak in
Okay.
the basement, and I remember as a 3-year-old, like, this is amazing.
Right.
This music is wow.
Right. You're in someone else's house, and
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I only was pressing on with that line of questioning because so many of my early musical memories are related to where I was living.
Really?
And yeah, when we lived in Flatlands,
Yeah.
right, in Brooklyn, from when I was 7 till I was 12. I remember having like a bus driver for day camp who was a Jamaican guy that had a transistor radio and he played reggae.
Yeah.
Or, you'd go into a store and there was like this funky music playing and then suddenly WWBBLLSSS, And
Love
so
that
many
radio
of my
station.
musical sensibilities are attached to like childhood memories of growing
Yeah.
up and hearing the stuff
Yeah.
around,
Totally.
Okay, so you went to college or what'd you do?
Yeah, I went to college.
Where'd you go?
I went to Hofstra University,
To study what?
broadcast journalism.
What made you decide to choose that?
It was interesting. I've always watched the news growing up and followed current events. I was
Okay.
always that kind of little girl. But I think what really pushed me into it was being a fan of Michael Jackson. Because it was around the time where those charges were brought up against him.
Right.
And I was a new fan. I was a totally new fan.
Right.
And I was like, oh my gosh, now I have to defend him.
Interesting.
And I ended up like watching all these shows and shows like Hard Copy, Current
Right.
Affair. And I felt that the media treated him unfairly. I
Yeah, it was
really
like
did.
he's an easy target. I mean,
Exactly.
he's always a little weird,
Exactly.
a little strange,
Very weird,
and
naive.
and
even.
the biggest thing in show business ever. Mm-hmm. It's a
Oh,
shame.
yeah.
It's a shame that I hope that future generations are going to come to like just appreciate the music for how great it is. Whatever you want to say about him, whatever you want to say about 50 million records of this and that, Thriller, there's not a wasted note on
Not
that
a
album.
waste of note.
From start to finish.
Yep.
9 songs.
Yep.
From beginning to end, everything is perfect on that record.
Yeah. That's exactly how I feel about
You
it.
know.
Even the so-called weak songs, to me,
I'd kill to write one of those.
seriously, I know.
I mean, what's the weak song on there? Baby Be Mine?
No, not
mean,
for
what's-
me. Now, I can't even think of one weak
Lady in
song
My
on
Life?
it.
I mean, what's the
no,
weak song?
oh my
There-
gosh,
there's
that's
not
like
one-
one of the best ballads.
That, you know, I mean,
one of
it's
the
like
best ballads.
every single thing that happens on that record is perfect.
It's beautiful. It was so
Yeah.
beautifully and wonderfully put together.
Yeah.
I mean, it's my favorite album of all time.
There's something about him that's so universal.
That's the beauty about him, because when I worked in the control room, one of the news agencies, the sound guy would always play music before the reporters go on, before we put the show on.
Okay.
And I remember he put on some Michael Jackson songs from the Thriller album.
Uh-huh.
Instantly, everybody was in such a good mood.
Everybody, right.
Everybody, the reporters
Yep.
started dancing.
Yep.
The line producers, usually they're very like nervous about the show. They were like, oh,
Right.
you know, everyone just
Right.
got into immediately a good mood. And that's,
Well, you see what happens on gigs when we break into like Billie Jean
oh yeah,
or Thriller. That
Oh, yeah.
people lose it.
yeah.
Radio 418.
Clap your hands oh so right. Clap your hands oh so right.
All right, so what was your job in the TV studio?
I did a lot of robotic cameras. I
Oh,
did
wow.
teleprompting. I did
Okay.
a little bit of master control, that kind of thing.
What were you looking to ultimately do there? Or did you have some sort of a game plan, like an agenda?
I mean, I wanted legit to be on air.
Oh,
to
really?
Be a TV reporter, because that's what I trained for in college.
Okay.
But really, my aha moment was there was a PA, a girl,
Production assistant.
correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
I took a chance.
And she was researching, like she loved her job. She researched the metal market, the futures.
Right.
That was her thing. She loved
Okay.
collecting that information for the reporters. And she told me, she's like, I love this stuff.
Huh. Doing
And I
all the
th-
research and getting the
Yeah,
information.
she
Okay.
loved it. And I looked at her, and I was thinking to myself, you know, I really, really love my job. I do.
Mm-hmm.
I like doing it. It's good money. I can get promoted very quickly.
Right.
But I don't love, like, I don't have
Ah.
a passion for it.
Interesting.
I just
Okay.
know that whatever job I do it very well.
Interesting.
That's all I know.
And you're how old at this point?
I must have been,
Like you're in your 20s?
yeah, I was in my 20s.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you came to that realization a lot earlier than most people.
I guess so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but to me, it's late. To me, it's a little late in realizing it, because I always knew since I was a kid where I really wanted to be, where my heart was. It's
Yeah.
just that I was naive in a lot of ways, and I didn't want to get hurt.
Sure.
So I was afraid of getting hurt,
Sure.
therefore afraid of taking chances.
That's most people.
And it kept bothering me. Like, it kept eating at me that I
Interesting.
wasn't doing anything
Interesting.
really much with my music,
So
or
was
me
there
as a performer.
Okay, so was there a breaking point where you said, all right, time to make the change?
Well, I just kind of went with the flow. I used to do a lot of karaoke online.
Karaoke online, how does that
online.
work?
Remember MySpace?
Yeah.
They used to have a karaoke service. And people would record themselves singing, and then you can like post it online and
I see.
everything. And I had a following. I had a little bit of a following. And I got discovered by somebody looking for a female singer in his rock band. So that's how I kind of edged my way onto the circuit.
And so this was a rock band that did covers or originals?
Yeah, they
or
did
what?
covers
Okay.
and stuff, and they were great.
Okay.
They were my first exposure into this cover band industry.
And you're out of the TV studio at this point.
Not yet.
Okay, so you're
Not yet.
moonlighting,
I'm
singing.
moonlighting. I'm moonlighting, and
Okay.
even when I entered private club date industry. I was still moonlighting, and I was working 2 different TV jobs.
Okay.
So I was hustling.
You were a weekend warrior, as we like to call you.
I was hustling at all odd hours of the night, morning.
Okay.
My shifts were just 5 a.m.
Wow.
How
long were you able to sustain that?
As long as I could.
Okay.
As long as I could until they just were like, we're going to lay off people.
Oh, wow. So the TV studio kind of did you a favor. It wasn't like you had to face any kind of...
Pretty much. I mean, they pretty much... But not before they used me to channel into a new place. Mm-hmm. That was like my second TV job, not the nice, cushy one that I had.
I see.
But in essence, they really did do me a favor because it's forcing me to be creative.
Right.
About my musical endeavors.
You didn't have to have that one moment of like, I need to make a choice.
Right. The universe kind of made it for me.
Nice. So now you're a full-time musician.
Yeah.
And what changed for you after that? Like, because here you are having to sing like on demand. Like, you know how it is. Okay, guys, we're up kind of thing. What changed for you in terms of like how you approached music? Did the craft end of things kind of kick in? Did you find yourself changing the way you sang, or?
I think maybe a little bit because I had an idea of what my voice was as an artist before I started continual live performances for a client who's looking for something specific. But there's a lot of good that came out of it because I was shy with taking some risks musically that it kind of pushed me to that level.
Right.
So I'm really grateful for that.
Just having to be on stage and having to perform.
Yeah.
Like whether you're sort of in the mood for it or not.
Right.
So when did you start writing songs?
I started writing songs roughly when I was 9 years old.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I used to listen to stations like Hot 97.
Okay.
And WBLS.
Okay.
Because late at night they would play the instrumentals of a lot of these songs.
The dance
DJs,
remixes.
The dance remixes, and they would go live to a DJ playing at whatever club.
Right.
I would stay up and just listen to the radio and and I figured out the formation of the songs, and then I would just add my own stuff to it.
Oh, that's so cool.
That was like my playground to practice.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then what really helped it along was in 5th grade, the teacher wanted us to keep a journal. We had to write something in a journal every single day. So what I would do is I would just write songs.
Nice.
I would write like simple melodies, simple structures, but things that I was kind of influenced by.
Okay.
Around what was happening in radio and stuff.
Right.
It was interesting. Like I kept a log of a lot of these songs. I probably still have the notebook too. And then like groups like NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys come out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, their songs sound exactly like the stuff that I was writing, and I thought that was just simple stuff.
Right.
Kicking myself.
So when did you start recording stuff?
I think I was like 11 or 12 years old.
Oh, okay.
And there was like a local producer in town.
Yeah.
And he had this song, I just keep on going round and round and round and round. It was such like a cute, simple song. And
it was a song of yours, or it was a song of his that you were just singing on?
It was his.
Okay.
And I was singing it. And I would add a little bit of my own personality in it. But it was his song, basically. And it was really, really cute. And it's so stupid.
You were 11.
Yeah, it was like, check 1, check 2. I can't hold it back, I'm in love. Which, some stupid stuff like that.
That flavor to it, okay. So, but as far as doing your own stuff, when did that begin?
When I was about 17.
Okay.
Yeah, I hooked up with a local kid in town. He was producing some stuff, doing demo work for a lot of people, talented.
Yeah.
I went to school with his sister, and she told me about her brother because I was interested, and people knew me in high school as the singer and all that kind of stuff. So I linked up with him, and we did a lot of like studio referencing work over the years. But I wrote
like demos.
Yeah, demos, but I wrote a lot of original stuff with him.
Okay. And where is that stuff now?
In my iMac.
I see. And
on CDs, too.
Okay. Can you get to it? I mean, is it?
I could,
okay.
yes.
Okay.
I could.
Oh, baby, what you want? Tell me. I'm about to bring it all night long. What you want? You set free. You've got what it takes to keep going on. Say what you want. Tell me. I wanna be in your corner.
I'm trying to get a sense of what the goals are here, because I know you had the one single, The Coin.
Right. My goal is to be known as an amazing performer.
Okay.
I want to like take over New York and then stretch out from there.
All right.
Because I really consider myself to be a funk performer.
All right.
That's just in my veins, in my blood. That's how I flow.
All right. So what are you doing to that end right now? What's on the schedule right now?
What's on the agenda?
Or are you still trying to figure that out?
No. There's an amazing funk band, and I'm gonna hopefully go right into weave into their act and stuff
Okay.
like that.
Do they know about this?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Yes, they do. They want me, baby.
Ah.
They want me.
Okay, I was not aware of that. I think that would be a great fit for both of you.
I think so too. I mean, these guys are lively.
I hope that works out.
I also have like a couple of shows I think coming up with another band that I just happened to go. I went to Red Lion. I just happened to like come up and sing and stuff because they were opening the mic, and they were like, she's going away for 2 weeks. Do you want to like cover her?
Okay, so you're out making the scene, putting
Yeah.
yourself out there, doing what you can do to be seen and heard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, one last question. Listening to the stuff you sent me, I'm doing a little bit of research. I want you to kind of explain Latin Freestyle to me just a little bit.
Latin Freestyle was kind of almost like a movement in the 80s
Okay.
because disco died.
Right.
The punk scene was rising, but the Latin community had nothing to like represent. I mean, hip hop was the closest because hip hop included everybody,
Right.
but still there wasn't like a sweet sound that a lot of Latinos craved. They
Okay.
wanted like that sweet disco pop. They still wanted that. So
okay.
freestyle was kind of born out of that,
Okay.
out of a need.
All right. And what are some of the hallmarks of that sound?
Definitely, you will notice the percussiveness and the syncopation. Like
Okay.
right away, it has Latin rhythms in almost every song. You have a lot of artists, especially Puerto Rican, because it was bred from New York.
From that community.
Right.
And that's not just the 5 boroughs, but out on the island where you were, right?
Yeah, I
all
mean,
over
and then quickly
Tri-
you had Italian artists that were like really jumping in on the scene and pumping out those hits.
Right.
But it was primarily a lot of Puerto Rican and Italian like singers just like coming together. And
Who were some of the artists that you consider Latin freestyle?
Lisa and the
Okay.
Cult Jam, most definitely.
Okay.
I mean, they're pioneers in it.
Okay.
Alicia, remember that artist? All night passion.
Oh, yeah.
My God, that's my jam.
I can remember going to dances in Canarsie, and there was always that point
That's right.
where
oh my
there'd be
gosh.
the do 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 do.
It was great for breakdancing too.
Yeah.
It also infused itself with hip hop culture in a way
Well, that
as
was
well.
the thing. Like, I would hear all of that stuff as like all kind of in the same. Like the DJs would play all those songs kind of into each other because they were like roughly the same tempo.
Now Shannon, I believe she was the first breakout artist, and I
Okay.
don't think she was Latina, but she was definitely the first breakout artist to like come out. Let the music play.
Sure.
You get away. That
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And oh my gosh, her songs are just like awesome.
Right.
I love that lady. Yeah, like you said, it has that
Very sort of like like real heavy, but
Heavy
like
synth.
minor keys.
Yeah. Oh, and I think that's what I love most about it because
Okay.
I love the minor scale. It's
Right.
bluesy, it's emotional, invokes a lot of emotion for me.
Right.
Like summertime. You remember that one? Take me to the 4 times.
Right, okay, yeah.
Summertime. Oh my gosh, it's so sweet.
Well, it's weird because like when I remember at the time, not really digging it, but my
course not.
memories of being that age are colored. Like when I hear those songs, it's like it takes me back to
It
that
takes
time.
you back, yeah. And it's the same thing with me, like, because growing up, like, the hip-hop in the 90s, there were some songs I really loved, but most of it, like, I was like an R&B chick.
Uh-huh.
That's what I wanted to listen to, R&B and pop.
Sure.
And my youngest brother, he was into everything. He was into Wu-Tang, Method Man, Snoop Dogg,
Okay.
you know, that kind of thing. And I was rather picky with my stuff, but he would
Okay.
force me to sit down and listen to them. And
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, but
Yeah.
I think back on it now, I'm like, man, that was good.
Right.
Because it brings you back to a time.
You think you're going to move in that direction, or do you know yet?
What, hip-hop?
In terms of your music, is there a sound that you're looking specifically to do, or have you figured that out yet?
Pretty much anything that I touch is kind of funky.
Okay.
Even when I touch rock, it's a little
Got it.
bit funky.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we finally got a chance to chat here
Me too.
in this noisy restaurant. I wish you the best.
Thank you.
I'm going to see you twice this weekend.
Twice?
Right? Aren't you on Friday and Saturday?
Just Saturday.
Ah, okay. Well,
That's why our band leader was putting up a stink. He's like, what's going on here?
I see. Well, that's his problem. Well, I'm going to see you at least once this weekend, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, let's pay the check and go see our friends.
Yes, let's.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Radio 418.
Yeah, man. Mystina. Go to MystinaSound.com. MYSTINA sound.com. And that is the name to find her on all of her socials. Facebook.com/MystinaSound. Instagram is Mystina Sound. YouTube.com/ you guessed it, Mystina Sound. Twitter @ The website for the podcast is radio418.com. You can subscribe there if you want to create an account with Podbean, or you can stream the episode from there, or you can subscribe on iTunes. Download it to a CD, whatever you got to do to hear the thing. Follow me on Twitter @JohnMon, JONMON. The YouTube channel is youtube.com/JohnMontagnaMusic. Instagram is John Montagna, Facebook.com/Radio418. But anything and everything you want to know about me and what I'm doing with my music is on my website, johnmontagna.com. Thank you so much for listening to Radio 418. I will see you on the next one. Be well.